Hey guys, I'm very excited about my next video. It's my first interview I've done for the channel, and please welcome Miss Joyce Jones. She is my freshman English teacher. I've known Joyce for going on 40 years now. I think 86, so 39 years. So thanks for tuning in, and my interview with Joyce is coming up right after this. Hey everybody, and this is welcome to Drummer Boy Jones, and my name is Jones, and I have a very special guest with me tonight. Today's guest is Miss Joyce Jones. She was very instrumental in me starting playing music. She was my freshman English teacher in 1986 is when I had Joyce. So for people that don't know Joyce, I'm going to let her talk about whatever she wants to tell us. If she wants to tell us a little bit about yourself, Joyce.
Okay. I grew up in the 60s, and my parents were really influential in music, my mom mostly. And we just always had music, at our house. So around 10, my sister wanted to start an all-girl rock band, and I thought, that'd be cool, And then she got interested in boys, and I started playing just a little old trap set when I was 10. And then when I was in the 8th grade, I got me a real set and started thinking about, hey, I've got some people that might want to start a band.
Yeah.
And it was people in my neighborhood. Daniel Rainey, guitar player, Mike Cox played bass and sang, and then Doodle Warren was supposedly the lead guitarist.
And this was in Hartsville, right?
This was in Hartsville, my junior year of high school.
Okay.
And at that time, if you were in a rock band or you did any kind of music stuff, that was cool.
Right, yeah.
And I went to college, didn't play very much. Don and I got married. And I started playing with a couple other bands up here, Steve Speck.
Yeah, I remember Steve.
Crispy.
Remember Crispy, absolutely, yeah.
And then I kind of laid off for a while. And when Jimmy Wicks was in my class, y'all had to give some kind of demonstration on how to do something.
Right.
And he showed me how to tune his guitar.
Okay.
And I got kind of interested in that. And then a little bit later, we had started, I thought, man, let's do this. Let's start this
So
band.
that's what started it all.
Mm-hmm.
I was always curious how it started. So okay.
And I started thinking, let's kind of look around. I think Mark had asked me to teach him a few things on drums.
Right.
And I knew you played, and I knew Jimmy played, so I was thinking, and Alan was, bass player. So I was sort of like a manager type person, in the beginning. And then we had a few people quit.
Right.
And it was either stop or make some adjustments. So Jimmy got me in the room and he showed me some chords, and it just took off from there. Because I was like, I am not going to let this thing die out. I've got kids that do have talent.
Right.
They know enough that you can teach them something, and it was just so easy.
Yeah.
To teach people and get it together. And of course, I know a lot more about music now than I ever did. But you don't have to be an Einstein.
Yeah.
You just got to have motivation. You have to have some skill.
Yeah.
And you got to have, you got to be consistent.
Right.
You've got to practice.
Yeah.
Practice.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah.
But as far as doing shows and stuff like that, that has been the most exciting thing for me, because you don't find that many girl drummers in the 70s.
Yeah.
In the 70s, girls just didn't do that.
Right.
But my parents were cool.
Yeah.
We rode motorcycles. They got me a drum set.
That's awesome.
And they just always supported me.
Yeah.
So, I've been in and out of it for a long time.
Yeah.
And like you said, now I've got my recording studio,
Yeah.
and going to learn how to record. And I actually wrote a song about y'all.
Wow.
I think it was 1993. We went to Murfreesboro together, long time ago.
Yes, that's right.
And we recorded that song.
That is right. I had forgot about that, but that's right. Yeah.
And I'm thinking about, after I learn a few things, try to work with that
Yeah.
and even redo it or something.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna need drums.
Okay.
You drummed
Okay.
for me before.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But it was just fun.
Yeah. So are you using like Pro Tools, that kind of thing, or?
No, it's an older, the Cakewalk version, only
Okay.
because it's free.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But people have told me that if you know one system, it's it's
Yeah.
all pretty much
That's sort of like I use GarageBand on,
Yeah.
on here just
right.
for my drum stuff, and yeah, it takes it a little while to get used to, but yeah. Well, good. Yeah, I was always curious. So I can't remember, and you'll have to tell me. So we was started with you in '86. 87 was a matter of first. 86, 87. Did we start then, or had we went up to being sophomores before we actually started, or did we start with you when we was freshmen?
I don't think we started or we played. I'll put it that way. We played when you guys were juniors.
That's what I was thinking as well. Like
Yeah.
88, 89. somewhere.
May of '88, we did our first show. We started practicing in 87.
Yes.
Out there where the old band
The band.
was.
Yeah.
And we did our first show. I guess Miss O'Neill was principal then.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
She let us do that, that concert at the end of the school year, and it
Yeah.
just kind of kept going from there.
Yeah. I knew we would do shows during the day, and then when we'd do shows at night.
At night.
I remember Mark's dad and my dad. I can't remember who else, but they built that drum riser and a ramp and all of that stuff. And yeah, that was cool. That was fun. Yeah, I just find it crazy that all of us had only been playing for a couple of years
Exactly.
before we started what we started. And, not to brag, but it was pretty good for a bunch of people that had only been playing for a couple of years.
Exactly.
I've actually got, and I'll put some on here, I've got some, my hat keeps going sideways. I've got some of those videos on my
Do you
computer.
really?
I do. So I might try to get
Man.
edit up some clips
Yeah.
and throw on here just to show you. So we all had, so let's go back. And I hope I don't forget nobody. Because if I do,
I hope that I can
So-
remember somebody.
I'm just going to start. Okay, so we had Mark Smalley, Mark Stevens was playing. Me was drums, right?
Right.
You, Jimmy Wicks was guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Dan McDonald was bass.
Right.
Alan Cook was bass. Right, so far?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then Tanya,
Sutton.
Tanya Sutton played keyboards.
Yep.
Did Julia play? Julia Johnson?
Julia played second.
And
She
she
came in.
Okay, Julia
A little
was
later.
played too. Okay,
Singers, Wendy Wicks.
Wendy,
Lori
Lori
Gent.
Gent,
Vicky Kirby.
Vicky. Forgot about Vicky. Yep.
Fryman.
Chris Fryman,
Doug.
Doug.
I think that was it, wasn't it?
I think so too. That's the reason I'm like, I hope I don't forget nobody. I think it was. So that was sort of the start of it.
Right.
And then I know when I graduated, it was just, I guess Mark was the only drummer then, right? Was it just Mark playing drums at that time? Because I think y'all have done it another year.
Yeah, we kind of did
Maybe another year or two. Because I actually, was it Kevin Deck and some of that bunch
Yeah.
played too, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
And then after those post years, y'all were kind of venturing out into your own
Right.
bands because you were in a band.
Yeah.
You were with Fryman, Michael Mandrell.
That's right. Yep. Yeah, that was sort of right after Actually, I think we might have even still been in school when we was doing that, maybe
Doing
on the
that.
side or something. I
Yeah.
don't remember. Yeah.
And then I got with Jimmy, and Mark was our drummer. We had Mark Pettigo. I
Yeah.
think, playing.
Y'all was doing that in Jimmy's basement, wasn't
Yes, yes.
you? Yeah,
That
I
was
remember
around
that.
92, 93,
Yeah.
somewhere around in there.
I remember that. Yeah.
And then I remember you were playing
Tony Hale.
Tony Hale.
Yeah, and Brad Copus. Yeah.
So being in the band, that thing went off. Being in
There
the
we go.
band at school, I thought was cool because everybody ventured off and they were still playing music. You know, you didn't just play then, drop it, and
Yeah. Sort of like,
Go on.
you know, football or baseball in high
Right.
school. You know, if you don't go on to college 9 times out of 10, you don't play or your career is done, you know.
Right.
But yeah, music, it sort of sticks with you. And best I can, you know, a lot of us are still playing.
Mhm.
I mean, I've took a year or two off, 3 years,
Right.
4, whatever. But yeah, I know Mark's got a band in Cookville now. He's still
Does he?
playing. I think he played, you know, they're still playing clubs and shows
Wow.
and things like that. But I still play a little. I assume Jimmy does. I've reached out to Jimmy a time or two. I hadn't gotten back in touch with him, but I'd like to get to talk to him. You know, so me and him sort of started together. You know,
Right.
with you, of course, and yeah, I've not seen Alan in a long time. I still see Doug some. I still see some of the Fryman some. But yeah, everybody goes their own ways, and golly, it's been what 30
30 years.
30 years ago. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Quite a long time. But I was thinking about the music that we played. I probably can't list the songs,
right.
but I can tell you the very first song that we practiced was Smoking in the Boys' Room, Motley Crue.
That's right.
I
That's
remember
right.
that.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, yeah, you know.
And what is weird, I don't know if you can hear my dad's radio, but here's Sweet Child of Mine is
Yes.
playing in the background. That's what I auditioned to, was Sweet Child of Mine.
Really?
That was. I sit,
Wow.
and like you was talking practice, you know, from the time I was 15 till, I guess when we started in 16, maybe I was 13, I guess, I don't know how old it was, but yeah, every day. Come home from school,
Right.
you know, put headphones on and just play the
Just
songs,
play songs.
over.
It'd been great if we'd had YouTube.
Yeah.
Back in the
oh
day.
yeah, absolutely.
But, you know, you just had, like you said, you listen to it and you play it and you play it until you got it.
Yeah, yeah. You just keep on.
And what was one song? We kind of played a different arrangement or a different variety of songs. Like
Yeah.
you would have Smoking in the Boys' Room, you know,
Yeah.
the Crew. And then we would turn around and do an older song like Lori Gent sang Satisfaction,
Yep.
Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
So it was a different mix.
Yeah.
And that's something that a lot of people can't do.
Yeah.
We
It
just
was-
had the right people that wanted to do it.
Yeah. It was all very
Did-
different.
You know,
Because at that time, of course, everything was hair bands.
Right.
But then I think, didn't we do, I can't remember, gosh. Like I said, I can't remember all the songs. I know I did a lot of the hair, you know, the Crew and the Poison and that kind
Right.
of stuff. But Mark, Mark done, what was it? He done, I know he tried out to Tom Sawyer.
oh, did
I
you?
mean, when we
Yeah.
auditioned, because I was sitting there, we're going, who's this little punk think he is? You know, trying to pull off it. Excuse me, and he did.
And he
Mark
did.
was awesome. He's still awesome. He's a great guy. But yeah, he had more of a technical feel to him, and I had more of a swing, you know, whatever. He is definitely more technical with the double strokes and he
All
could
that.
do all that. At the time, you know, if it wasn't a single and I went around, I couldn't do it, you know. So, but well, good.
And going back to the songs that we picked, you know, we had some people who had good singing skills.
Yeah,
You know, it was.
Lori could
She
sing
could
her
belt it out there.
butt off. Yeah,
Yeah.
she had a strong voice, really strong voice.
and then Vicky singing "Honestly" by Stryper.
Stryper, yeah, that's
and,
high.
And then Tanya was over there playing keys, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!"
Yeah, it's pretty impressive, especially for a bunch of kids at the time.
Right. But and then Wendy Wicks, I think she did Detroit Rock City.
Was Wendy the one that done Detroit Rock
Yeah.
City? Okay. Yeah, I remember she is.
So we were going from this spectrum all the way over to this spectrum.
Yeah.
That much variety.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there were some songs I could tell that certain people didn't want to do. They were like, "Oh my God."
Yeah. What are we doing this for? Who picked this song? And I'm sure I was one of them.
No,
You know.
I don't. It was just a lot of fun, and hanging out with your students, and that's what teaching was to me. The relationships, the friendships, hanging out with the kids.
Yeah.
Just to talk.
Well, that's what's
play music.
yeah. You're the first teacher that I ever had, which I had good teachers. Don't get me wrong, but you're the first teacher that we had, or I had, that you had a relationship with outside of just the classroom.
Right.
You taught us all the. I remember I still, and I think there's a picture somewhere because I'm sitting there trying to do something. You're right over me doing something.
I've seen that picture too.
And I'm like, teaching me time, and when you're that old, you're this way and that way. And I remember you really taught me time and just hanging out, all of us just after school or practice or
and laughs and pranks.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I know there was times you probably was like, oh my God, I'm gonna kill these kids.
No, I would probably be the one. Yeah, let's do this. Let's do this.
Yeah, because I'm not to name no names, Doug McDonald, but he was always pretty good at doing something that was get us really in trouble,
Mischief man.
Yeah, and I know you. Me and Alan or Doug Doug didn't because he didn't smoke, but I know me and Alan was always getting busted smoking. We was always smoking.
That's back in the days when we actually had a smoking corner, if you remember that.
Yeah, we did, and then after they got rid of it, and then they wondered why we was still getting busted smoking.
Right, because they did it. They set it up to get kids out of the bathroom.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. We had a system where one would watch and one would smoke, and you'd put your foot up on the wall, and if a teacher turned a corner, you'd set your foot down, and that way you could throw it out in the toilet before the teacher went.
Okay.
Which we didn't think about all the smoke that was in there and the smell, but we didn't get caught with it in our hands.
Yeah.
But that was. So you're recently retired?
Yes.
Well, I say recently. You've been retired
since May of last year.
Since May of last year. That's fantastic.
After 41 years.
41 years, and so you went from. I know you was in Lafayette, and then you went to Red Bull.
Went to Lebanon.
I'm sorry, you went to Lebanon. Okay,
yeah,
I
stayed over there
knew
14 years.
Maybe I did. That you was over there that long?
We played a show over there, if you remember, in
Did we?
94, 95, because that was my first year in 94, 95. So it was some kind of honors program that the students were putting on, and it was me, you, Jimmy. Who was the other one? I couldn't remember. And we were in the gym, and it was so hot that people were getting up and leaving.
Yeah.
And I was upset because I thought they were leaving, because we were
saw it.
horrible.
Yeah.
But it was the fact that it was just so hot in there.
I forgot about that. Yeah. Well, that's cool. Yeah, I forgot. I completely forgot you had went to Lebanon. Okay.
Yeah, and came back here, stayed at Red Bowling for 16 years, and then retired.
Okay.
But I had the opportunity to teach a class, music, and I did that for 14 years.
That's fantastic.
That was really, really a lot of fun and educational too.
So did you do that plus English or something else, or did you just?
I started out in biology and taught that for like so many semesters, and then I had a physical science class, I had an earth science. It was all the science classes that maybe nobody wanted to take chemistry, but they took earth science or something like that. And it stayed all the way through the sciences. And that was 16 years.
Wow.
And we had gotten on stage, and we did a Christmas show one time, so I had worked with some kids over there.
Yeah.
But
I was thinking, I remember you was talking about that you had done that.
And it was a lot of fun because the stuff and the songs that they listened to, one of them would pop up and it would be like a song that
we had done,
you know. And of course I told them all about us, you know, leather and lace, and they were like, wow, you know, can we do that here? And I said, well, you may have to do a leather and lace too.
Yeah.
You know? But that was fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. I gave some lessons, but it's time for me
Yeah.
now.
Absolutely.
You know, I've taught a lot. I've given a lot of my time, and I loved it. But now it's more, okay, what do I want to do?
Yeah. Yeah. Your studio and still play and learn, and
Oh, yeah.
you never quit learning, right?
I got something for you, I think. The first episode, I saw you strumming on a guitar.
Oh yeah, I'm trying.
And these are no longer in stock, so that's a classic. That's yours.
Well, thank you very much.
Fender Clears.
Venter Clears.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you.
And here's one for you to keep.
Awesome. So I can use one
Use
and put
one,
one up. Well,
yeah.
that's because there's I have a frame of or not a frame, but I guess it is a frame. It's got a bunch of different picks I've caught or
Right.
something. That'll go in there.
There you go.
That'll go in there. Thank you very much. That's awesome. And then this one, I'll put it right here. Yeah, I bought a cheapo. You know, it's just a, you know, like a
Ibanez.
$200 guitar.
Hey,
Yeah.
listen, that's why you do it. Ibanez is a name brand.
Yeah, so I called Hoxia when and I said, Jason, I said, is this worth the money? And he was like, actually, I don't even think it's $200. I think it's like $189 or something.
Wow.
And he was like, yeah. And he said, I get it. So I've been going through chords. I can play the chords, but changing them real fast, no, that's not going to happen.
That just takes time.
Yeah.
You know,
I
everybody
can go
goes
here,
through
but then I
that.
have to look and then go to here, and then if you go to a G to a what is it, C or something like that, it's
Now,
really
do you do the open chords where the finger movement?
well, yeah.
Okay, and then Jimmy taught me how to play power chords.
Yeah, I've not started the power
Those
chords
are
yet.
easier.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometime, if you want to, I will show you the fastest way to go from G to C to F. I mean,
Okay.
just like
that. Okay, yeah, that's what I definitely
And
need.
it's all finger positioning.
Yeah,
That's all it
it's
is.
all. It's because I've got short, fat fingers, and there's some that I'm like, how do they get where, how do they get up here and all that?
Yeah.
It's fun, just to sit around because, we have friends over, cookouts and things like that, and just pull it out and, pull the guitar out and start playing. Oh, me.
We played at, it was Central back then, you remember?
Was it Central? I couldn't remember if we went to, did we go to West Side too?
No.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking is Central.
Yeah, Central, because we did a show for a fundraiser for the cheerleaders.
That's what, okay.
And there were a bunch of kids over at that school.
Yeah.
And I think the cheerleaders ended up making like $500
Wow.
on that show.
Oh, cool.
And then that's when Julia joined us. She knew how to read music, and we played, what was that song, Autograph? Turn Up the Radio.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember, asking her, hey, we need a keyboard player.
Yeah.
And we opened up with that song, and that was the loudest fans, I think.
Oh
I
yeah,
ever
it was.
played.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was crazy. Yeah, I remember the first time we done it. I mean, I don't think I threw up, but I think I could have threw up. But I still, after as many shows,
You still get nervous.
Still get nervous,
Mhm.
And,
But it was so much fun.
yeah. We had a great time, a fantastic time.
And for the guys, it was awesome because you have following of girls.
Yeah.
You know, I think one concert, somebody threw Doug a rose or something on stage.
Always the front man. Always the
Yeah,
front.
and they
When
just-
Doug had his bleach blonde hair.
Oh
and his-
yeah, and we thought hair was long back then. It was about down to here.
Yeah.
That was,
Yeah,
that
it's
was
teased
long.
up. Yeah. Matter of fact, I think I've even got a picture too, because I remember when we done the night show. Of course, this was in '88, so all the glam stuff. So I remember there's a picture of me and maybe it was Doug too. Me and Doug sitting down, and Wendy Wicks is putting her makeup on. I mean, lipstick, eyeliner, the whole nine yards. You know, and yeah, that's. I'm sure Mom and Dad was proud of that moment, but it was fun. No, but you know, going back to the
and the guys, if you remember, wore a little bit of makeup.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was.
And it was always cool because we had the left ear. The earring.
Yeah. I remember, because when I got out of school, because I had to, you know, of course I begged Daddy. Finally, he let me get my ear pierced, and then then I went and got another hole in it, and then when he wasn't thinking, then I went and got this one done, and then I even got that one up there. You know, of course they're all grown up now, but yeah, that was I had to hire to hide it. Yeah, you know,
Right.
they didn't know it, you know. So.
And I was thinking about people that were, I guess we'd call them the road crew. They would load us up for instruments.
Oh yeah.
The first kid I thought of was, do you remember Rodney Gent?
Yeah.
Little guy with black hair.
Yeah. I've not seen. Actually, I played in a couple bands with Rodney after school,
Wow.
and I've not seen Rodney in. I've reached out to Rodney a time or two because me and Rodney was really good friends in school, and done a lot together, rode motorcycles a lot together, and I've not seen Rodney in a long time. I've reached out to him a time or two, with the phone number I've got.
Yeah.
I know my wife worked with him at her old job, and he actually gave her a Rocky poster. He knew I was a Rocky fanatic, and gave her a Rocky poster to give to me.
Yeah.
And I still got it, and I tried to call and thank him, and
Yeah.
I just couldn't get a hold of him.
Can't get hold of him.
But yeah, so yeah, Rodney. I mean, Scott Carver helped us.
Scott, yeah.
Terry Austin. I think Terry helped us
Yes,
too.
he did. Crystal
Crystal Lohorn.
Lohorn.
Yep, Crystal Lohorn.
She helped out.
That's right. Can't think of anybody else just right off bat. Like I said, if I forgot you, I apologize. But yeah, I had to have a bunch of people to help. I mean, you know.
And it was cool too because like there were other schools that were like, "Oh, y'all don't have a high school rock band."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah, we do."
Yeah. And what was crazy, just thinking back about it, because I remember, you know, Dad would help me load up because I had a truck, and you know we'd practice once a week or maybe twice a week. Well, I'd load up my drums and bring them all. It wasn't like the drums was set up there.
Exactly.
You know? So I had to haul them things every time we'd practice, and Mark done the same thing. And my dad was like, "Man,
That's
why
the
didn't
bad
you
part
play
of it.
guitar or something?" You know, I was like, I know. But yeah, I mean that was dedication because you had to take them, set them up for practice, tear them down, take them back home, set them back up at home where you could keep practicing.
Yes.
And but we did it. You know, a lot of dedication. You played drums. And that was my first thing. I knew you played drums.
Right.
And then you started in on guitar. And I think you even played bass for a while with us too, didn't you?
Because there were no bass players.
Yeah, right.
And I was like,
that was always the hardest thing to find was a bass player. Yep. Did you ever play any like woodwind, any trumpet, saxophone, anything like that?
Took piano lessons, and to me, that's what catapulted my knowledge. I took the music theory from piano and took it to guitar. And my gosh.
Changed the game.
It changed the game because I learned a whole lot. Marcia Briggy was my piano teacher. She was
I remember
awesome.
her. Up on the square. Wasn't she on the square for a while? Yeah, I remember
awesome
her.
lady.
Yeah.
And then I've got in the back of my mind, I guess you remember this song, Dwight Yoakam, "Fast as You."
Oh yeah.
You know, it's got the organ in the background. My next venture is to go get a Hammond X3 organ.
Oh yeah.
And you know, start making some music. Doesn't always have to be on guitar. You know, now I can do piano.
Right.
So I've had my eye on one at Guitar Center.
Yeah.
A little bit pricey for me.
Yeah.
But, thinking about going down there and just saying, hey, give it to me for this and it'll be gone.
Yeah, and I'll put it up.
And those organs are awesome.
Yeah.
People have used them forever, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. And so I thought, well, I know I can play. I'll just need to brush up a little bit.
Yeah.
And on piano is where I wrote that first song about us, Living for the Day.
Living for the Day. That was.
I think it took me 9 months. Because I didn't know, the chords and stuff on piano.
Yeah.
And I'd play it and look at it and look at the book.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an F chord. Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So.
That's. Yeah. When playing guitar, I don't get it. I mean, with drums, to me, okay, I can hear the bass drum. I can hear a tom or a snare or a ride or whatever. I can hear that. I can't, guitar, it's like, well, that's in G or that's in, what are you talking? I have no idea what you're talking about.
Right.
But yeah, some people just has that ear, I know, which I know Jimmy, I think, took lessons for years.
Yeah.
And I finally started taking drum lessons after I got out of school. Took them for 2 or 3 years. I shouldn't say 2 or 3 years. That's a lie. Probably 6, 8 months. And took them from Damn Yankees drummer Michael Cardelloni.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Took them from him when he lived in Nashville. And I think I more took them just because I was starstruck than anything. But I did learn a lot,
Oh, yeah, you do. And you can
uh,
always learn something new. It doesn't matter how much you know, you'll learn something new all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was teaching me stretches and different rudiments and things, I was like, what's a rudiment? I don't know what a rudiment is, but.
It was just exciting to think, oh man, we're going to practice today.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all the songs and the first song always was horrible.
Yeah. Yeah, you had to get.
First time through, it was like, oh God, this is awful. But you just have to keep practicing and it comes around. And that was another thing. Y'all were really fast learners. You really were.
Yeah.
I didn't have to do very much coaching at all.
Yeah. I mean, you would though. I mean, I remember you'd be like, oh yeah, this is where it drops, or this is where the tempo changes, or go to cut time, or whatever. I remember. I think you're the first person. I was like, what's cut time? What are you talking about? But yeah, I mean, we get the grasp of it.
Mm-hmm.
I know looking back at that, and I talking about taking lessons. I never warmed up.
Right.
We'd come in, I'd set them up, let's go.
Hi, here we go.
Yeah, and now there's no way. I have to warm up for an hour before I try to play
you
something.
do anything.
Yeah, and but yeah, we definitely had a good time, a fun time. I don't think I would have played. I'm sure I'd have played music, but I don't think I would have had the band experiences and
Right.
if it wasn't for you and what you done, starting all that.
Well, it was like I said. Y'all made it easy for me. Y'all were talented, and that's the first thing that you look at. You have to have certain skills
Yeah.
to be able to do something. Like you were talking, with guitars, it's really good if you have long fingers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with drums, that's the whole background.
Right.
You have to have rhythm, and we never had rhythm problems.
Yeah. Right.
And when we sung, it sounded good. And I think what I can remember, everybody would have about 2 songs to sing.
Yeah.
And one other thing I wanted to tell you too, how things have changed. We played some songs that we would just not be able to play in front of high school kids. You remember Cocaine?
Yeah.
Clapton?
That's right. Yeah. Bathroom wall.
Yes.
Yeah, we did that. I forgot about
Yes.
that. Yeah. That just popped in my head. Got your number off the bathroom wall. We'd
Yep.
play that, and maybe they just didn't know what we were saying.
But
or
we
what it
were
was.
just we were doing it because we liked the sound.
Yeah.
The music. We didn't really think, if you
a
want to
message.
hang out, you gotta take her out. Cocaine.
Yeah.
You know, you just couldn't roll with that this time.
Yeah, it's everything has changed. That's for sure. It's
And I remember we did the one that most people liked the best. I think was Poison. Did a cover of it was a Kenny Loggins song.
oh, Mama Don't Dance.
Mama Don't Dance.
Yeah. Is that what we opened up
Yes.
with?
Yes.
I thought Detroit. Yeah.
I think. Well, yeah, I know because we were at the school that's the junior high now, and we did a. Ron Allen was in a talent contest or
Okay.
something. I don't know if you remember that.
Now that would have been after me, so
Okay.
I don't remember that.
Mark was playing
Okay.
because that was the year that Julia and Mark were seniors. And the song that we played was sort of like a one-time big hit for Ugly Kid Joe.
Ah,
Remember that?
I do. Yeah.
I Hate Everything About
That's
You.
it. Yeah. That's
We
it.
played that song for him. He did the singing, and everybody stood up. And it was a real popular song, and everybody was just. And he won. And I think the prize was like some money or something. He turned around and was going to give me and Mark. I was like, I don't want your money. You know, you keep your money.
Yeah.
And I think I found that picture. That's when I had that old ugly pink bass.
Big bass.
And he's singing. And he looks like a little 15-year-old boy.
Right.
You know.
Right. Well, he still does.
And,
Sorry about that, Ron.
and you know, it was just, I got a picture and I said, I'm gonna give this picture to you. I said,
Yeah.
this is where you were in the talent show.
Yeah.
He loved it.
It's
Loved it.
funny you bring Ron up. So I had pretty much quit.
Mhm.
I had, you know, I didn't have the itch. I didn't, you know, me and Tony and well, Rodney was, I think, part of it. Alan was part of it for a while. Greg Russell, he sung. We was in a band called Detox. And they had started before,
Okay.
and we played in Nashville a lot. You know, I say a lot for about a year. We was doing. And I just got burnt out and got
Right.
tired, and I think everybody else did. So we just quit. So about, I don't know, I'd probably been quit for 2 or 3 years. And I was actually out doing something. Lori calls my cell phone, and she's like, hey, Ron Allen Powell just called and wants you to call him. And I was like, why?
Right.
You know, why is Ron calling? I mean, I knew Ron, but we wasn't best friends or nothing. Just
Right.
knew Ron. So he called. He goes, "Hey," I was like, "Hey," he's a, "Me and Scooters want to start another band, and would you be interested?" And I was like, "I don't know. I've been in and out of them
Right.
forever, and just don't, you know, not really. Okay, why not? You know." So we got together, and all three of us hit it off. Which I'd been with Scooter for a long time,
Right.
anyways, but I got in, you know, me and Ron became best friends. We couldn't find nobody. And all of a sudden he just looked at me and he was like, what about Jason Hawks? I was like, why didn't we think of Jason? So we called Jason. Jason called Dan, and then we ended up playing together for 15 years. You
Yeah.
know, we played for a long time, played a lot of places, had a ball. But that was the last band I probably will ever be. I probably won't ever be in another band. I don't care nothing about the...
It's very strenuous on you as a person. It takes a lot of energy. And for me, where I am right now, is like I said, you know, wanting to do the studio recording, get back, just seeing what I can do for maybe writing
Yeah.
some songs.
Yeah.
But I know you got to write a lot of crappy songs before you can actually write a good one.
Yeah, right.
But
right.
I mean, I got time on my hands now.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's weird how that works too, is you might write something in 15 minutes that's the best thing
Right.
you've ever written, and then something that takes you, like you said, 9 or 10 years, and you still don't like it, or it's
Right.
still not where you want it, or
Not
it's
where
still,
you want it.
yeah. So it's crazy how that works, but hopefully we can, I guess, find us some pictures and maybe show some old pictures if you
Right.
have any. Or like I said, I know there's some in annuals, but I couldn't even tell you.
See,
what
that's
my
like me. I
annuals are.
started looking, and I was like, I know I've got pictures.
I do too. I've just got to find them.
And it was just like,
That might
are
be-
they in the barn?
Yeah. Yeah, it might be my afternoon projects to find some pictures. So I do know I've got some video. I've got it on
Okay.
this computer actually, so I can find it pretty quick. But
That's
okay,
the first show that we played. And I've been kind of scavenging through the, VHS tapes, and I found one. It said Leather and Lace 5/5/89, but I don't know. I don't think that's the original video that I had.
okay. I might have them
Uh,
because that's where I put them on that VHS player,
yeah.
run them through and put them on the
Or on the
computer.
computer.
So I'll give you those tapes.
Wow.
I've got them. I know exactly where they're at. I can walk right to them. So I know I've got two, and
Yeah.
I don't know. One was the night show, and one was the day show.
See,
I think.
I don't know which one I've got.
Yeah.
The one that I pulled out. It may be the night show, and then again, it might not. It might be
Yeah.
a totally different concert. But we just didn't have all of the amenities that people have now.
Yeah.
We were lucky that I had a video recorder that
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
that we could record on.
Yeah. Big old recorders and tapes.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Now everybody has a phone and
Yeah,
can
it's
record, and it looks like a Star Wars movie. You know,
Right.
it's crazy, but
And now they're just doing everything on their phones musically.
yeah. Well, Joyce, thank you very much for coming and hanging out with me.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed it.
I was really looking forward to this, walking down memory lane.